Well, welcome back to Vermont and welcome to Birdmont. This new website that I just put together is offering for sale some unique birdhouses, among other things. Just barely getting started, but these birdhouse kits are cut by a laser, and that laser is really the focus of this video. Moreover, trying to reduce the smoky exhaust and get the smoke out the window and stop leaking into the house. So join me on this little adventure, and if you're curious, please check out the website. So to get started, here's just an image of the laser that I have. I just want to show you the flexible hose dryer duct that comes out the left side of the laser. And in this case, on the manufacturer's website, shows it going into air filter. So that you could run indoors. I actually have mine vented out a window, and I'll just show you a little bit about that arrangement here. Just creation of a 3D part that I printed on a 3D printer. And then rather than use the flexible hose assembly, here I just made a custom elbow to go from the laser out into the window barrier. So that's what I've got here. And then in this video, I'm showing you there is some smoke still coming out. This vent that I created leaks, apparently, or some of the seals leak. So the whole arrangement may or may not have been a good idea, but it wasn't executed well, and the whole system still leaks smoke inside the house. So that's just trying to demonstrate for you here what the problem is and what I'm trying to do to remedy that. So I had the idea of putting a little bit larger fan than the stock fan that came with this fume extractor. And that's what I'm showing here. This is the stock fan is run by 24 volts, and this particular fan here is 120 volt. So my plan here is to run this through a relay, which is activated by the 24 volts originally, and build some sort of a system external to the laser that will house this fan, size up to it, and so forth. So kind of walk you through that process here. I'm just experimenting now with a manifold that will mount on the laser hood, on the outside of the laser hood, and I'm trying to integrate into this piece a portion of DIN rail that will hold the relay. So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate for you here and just show you my thought process in going through the design. So I had to split the part along the 45 degrees. That's why you see two pieces here on the 90-degree elbow. I had to split it at 45 degrees so that I could print it according to the settings of the capabilities of my printer. So I printed this piece here that you see in two parts and then glued it together once I was finished. And I'm just showing you here in comparison to the geometry of the elbow that I'm replacing, just to check my position and sizing. And here I'm just integrating in that gap will be the dimensions of where the fan is. And on the other side of that gap, I'm building an air dam, a piece that will allow a gate to slide in to close off airflow if I would like. And that will, in my place, that will keep insects and things from flying in when I'm not blowing air through this exhaust system. And then that final funnel that mounts there is sized down to the hole that I've got already in my window. And again, just showing you an air dam that I've got in concept, and that will be able to close, and you'll be able to remove it as I'm showing here and turn it around and insert it back in place, which will help close up the air gap on the top so that smoke won't leak out, but will proceed out the vent in the window. So just to show you, this is kind of my concept. I've been over this, I don't know, a number of days to make sure I have all the pieces correct and geometries correct. So I'm right about ready at this point to start making these pieces. So I'm just getting the parts. I've printed them out, of course, and I'm just starting to piece them together and check their fitment for the first time while we're on video here. And this is the gate as I showed you before. The two fasteners, what are on the top of the gate now, you see they have to be recessed. I can't pass hardware through because this gate has got to be inserted and go by the location where the hardware is. So I have planned in that bulkhead piece right here that I'm holding 2 recessed nuts that will be buried in the part and flush or beneath flush, so that when the gate slides there won't be any interference. What I'm trying to show you here is I didn't plan that appropriately for the nuts that I have, so they don't sit fully down deep enough to avoid the interference. So I'm going to have to remedy that here in a minute. So downstairs I go where I've got at least a little bit of room to work, and turns out I can just enlarge these holes by hand. I don't need to use a drill. This is printed out of PLA material, so it's not particularly hard, and I am stepping up in size, not a great amount, so I can just turn these by hand. So I'm enlarging the holes so that the round portion of the lock nuts can set a little deeper. I ended up inserting the nuts upside down so that when you thread in the hardware, it actually will engage the locking features first. So if you're familiar, that's considered backwards. And then here in the vise, I'm just pressing the nuts in more than I can by hand, and it seems to be an effective solution. So I'll modify my CAD drawing, but for this piece, I didn't have to waste it. I could just modify it. Back upstairs, now that I've got this air dam hardware issue resolved, and I'm just validating that the gate does slide in there, goes by those nuts, and they don't drag or create any interference. So perfect, got that piece resolved. And next up, I've got to get the fan out and see, hopefully that aligns with all of the pieces, and really starting to put all of this together. So just checking here, the whole alignment looks good. Of course, I modeled that and measured that beforehand, so nothing's changed, but it's always nice to see that it fits up well and didn't make any mistakes there. Although I'm about to find out I did make a mistake, and I didn't size my holes correctly for the size hardware that I'm planning, the diameter of the screws, which I'm using M5s. And when I try to insert that, it just doesn't work out. So another modification required. So back downstairs, I go to the shop. So I drilled out the 4 corners of the fan assembly to allow the hardware to pass through. And if you recall earlier, I mentioned that the top 2 fasteners that hold the fan in place are recessed underneath that air dam by those 2 nuts that are inserted into the manifold piece. So what I did also is I drilled a couple holes while I was modifying the fan. I put in 2 small holes in that gate, that piece that holds the gate, just to allow some plastic fasteners that I'm installing now, and that just holds this reducer funnel piece that you can see. It holds it to the air dam assembly just by 2 plastic screws, so that helps keep everything a little bit more secure as well. So this was an afterthought, and again, I'll modify the CAD files so that's all integrated. But here you can see it's all assembled, the fan's in place, the gate assembly, and what's left is to glue it to the other piece of that 45, which when added in will make the 90-degree elbow. So got most of the parts all together. And I've also installed the relay here onto that DIN rail integrated, so that fit well. And well, here it is assembled, super glue or cyanoacrylate, just to assemble those 2 elbows together and make sure I had them aligned correctly. Pretty accurate. So I'm pretty happy with this assembly, and what's left or what's next is just to wire up that relay. So power will come in by way of an extension cord. So I can run power through the relay, and the relay will be closed by the 24-volt power, which will come from the laser itself, used to power the stock fan. So when the laser commands the fan to be on, rather than turn on the fan, it will close the relay, and then the relay will, of course, bring power in 120 to run the new fan. So I'm just showing you the routing of the 24-volt supply. It used to control the fan, the original fan, but now we'll activate the relay. I just ran it up through a hole in the enclosure. And then once on the outside, I had to add an extension to bring the length of the wire a little bit longer. I have some more room, so while I did that, I just added some spade terminals so I could easily or more securely attach it to the relay block. Okay, here's the final installation. You can see the fan assembly and the air dam and where it exits through my window. I've got a little barrier set up, and of course the rain vent is on the other side of that partition. And then down here is the extension cord running into the relay to provide power, and the control wires, 24 volt, coming from the laser itself to throw the relay. Pretty happy with the installation. It was a lot of work, and now it's, as I started out in the video, I've got some work ahead of me making kits for birdhouses, and that's a fun new adventure for me, but hopefully this effort resolved the leaky smoke situation with running my laser quite often. So please leave comments if you've got the Creality Falcon 2 laser and you've had issues similar to mine with the smoke escaping the exhaust system. I'd appreciate your comments and maybe how you chose to solve it yourself. And this particular aftermarket design that I put together, I've been thinking about even offering for sale or put a kit together that people could order it. I think there are a lot of users of this particular laser that have to replace their fan, and maybe this is one more option that could work for them. Of course, the geometry would change. You know, mine was customized to size down after the fan so that it would fit through a window. But what I would do is add a funnel on the opposite outflow side of the fan that sizes it back down to the OEM diameter. So anyway, curious about your comments if you find that useful. And as I said, thanks for visiting and carrying along with me on this, and even the future adventures as I try to see what happens with this Birdmont website. So appreciate you and your comments. Have a great day, and thanks for visiting Vermont.